Hey everyone, this is Don with Don's Field of Dreams cards. My video today is in response to Jake the Leprechaun's 400 sub contest where he wants us to tell a story about something in our collection. And I'm actually going to go over a few items here from my collection. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I've lived here my whole life, and lifelong Pirates fan, which has been very rough the last 40 years. And the reason I say 40 some years is the last time the Pirates won the World Series was in 1979 when I was 12 years old. 53 now, so as you can see, it's been quite a while. I believe the only team that's gone longer without winning the World Series is the Cleveland No Names. And if they don't go by the Indians this year, I guess the Cleveland Indians will never have another World Series. So Phil Garner and Ed Kirkpatrick. Phil Garner had a pretty good career with the Pirates, three-time All-Star, and was a manager of the Brewers and I believe the Astros. So many of you are probably familiar with him. Maybe not so much with Ed Kirkpatrick, but the reason I'm bringing these two gentlemen up, they lived in my hometown growing up, about 15 miles south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Phil Garner lived in a house about a half a mile from me, and I don't know where Ed Kirkpatrick lived in our town, but his son was in my grade. And looking up when he played for the Pirates, he was mainly there in 76, 77, so that's the time frame that I would have known his son. So I was 9, 10 years old. And his son used to always bring souvenirs from the Pirates, photographs, things of that nature, and he'd give them out to all of us. And his dad would come to the school once in a while, and I remember playing baseball, seeing his dad there as well. Unfortunately, I do not have any of the items that I had as a kid. I don't think they'd be worth a whole lot monetarily, but it would have been neat to still have them. Phil Garner was my favorite Pirate growing up back then, good old scrap iron. Even though I loved Dave Parker and Willie Stargell and the rest of that We Are Family crew, there was something that I just liked about Phil Garner, and maybe it was because he lived fairly close to us. This card kind of cracks me up. I believe it's his first Pirates card, and the airbrushing that they used to do back in the day, the P on that hat is just awful if you ask me, but nonetheless I still think it's a neat card. So sorry that I do not have the editing skills or the software that some of you have. I'm going to try zooming in a little bit here so you guys can see some of this stuff. So Phil Garner was actually drafted in the first round of what they called the extended draft. Not sure what that was back then, but you can see he was number 3. And I don't know how you guys can see this, but if you go through the list, many of these guys I've not heard of, and I would think he was probably the best player taken in that draft. The regular draft of that year had one guy in the first round that I would say is better than him, Jim Rice, who's in the Hall of Fame. The rest, maybe Frank Tanana and Rick Rhoden are in the same class. But then you get to the second round, and George Brett and Mike Schmidt, two pretty good ball players in their own right. But I wanted to show you the house that Phil Garner rented when I was a kid. I looked it up. He was making $120,000 in 1977, which is equal to, with inflation, around $520,000 today, which I believe is still less than a minimum amount the major leaguers make. So as you can see, it's a nice house, but compared to what players live in today, quite a difference, what the ball players were living in back then, houses that were common to my family and friends in the neighborhood as well. As I said, Ed Kirkpatrick was lived in my town as well. And I thought I had a picture here, but I don't. Or maybe I do. Yes, here it is. This is a copy of the photos that his son used to bring into us from school. So I guess the Pirates made these to get autographed and could be shown around to their friends. Ed Kirkpatrick, look at the stats here. If you look here, he was 17 years old when he played, here it is, debut. 17 years and 340 days. So he got a cup of coffee at 17 in the major leagues, which is just amazing. Unfortunately, Ed was in a car wreck, and they didn't think it was that bad, but it turns out he had a blood clot in his neck that went to his brain and caused a stroke, and he ended up being in a wheelchair and passed away in 2010 at the age of 64. Very sad. But those are two guys that have meant a lot to me growing up as far as players. Their cards, maybe not so much, but just the idea that there were major leaguers in the town that I grew up in. So Jake was actually asking me a little bit about this bobblehead that I have back here. I bought this on eBay probably 15 years ago, and I actually sold it once on eBay. I had lost a job around 2008 and sold my card collection and needed some money. And fortunately, the gentleman or woman, whoever bought it, never paid me for it. So I kept it, and very fortunate for that. So this bobblehead is an antique. It's from 1966. The reason I know that, you can see right here, somebody wrote on the back, June 9th, 1966, St. Louis 4, the Pirates 2. The beauty of the internet, as you all know, and this great website, Baseball Reference here, and others like it, I was able to pull up the game. So there actually was a game on June 9th, 1966, St. Louis 4, Pittsburgh 2. Only 11,000 people were at the game. So I'm not sure if it was a day game or night game or why the attendance. The Pirates had a winning record that year. And look at the game time, 1:58. Games never go that fast anymore. But I also thought this was very interesting too. There were 5 Hall of Famers in that game. Lou Brock and Orlando Cepeda for the Cardinals. Roberto Clemente, Bill Mazeroski, and Willie Stargell for the Pirates. Trying to think. Bob Gibson also would have been on this team, but he didn't pitch in this game. And not sure if I'm missing anyone else. If anyone else can think of any other Hall of Famers that were on the team, then you can put it down below. But just wanted to respond to Jake the Leprechaun's video contest, and this is my memories as a kid, players growing up in my hometown. Hope you all have a great weekend, and talk to you soon.